Hello and welcome to Outrageous Wellness. My name is Kristine Erickson. I am a personal trainer, a psychologist, a wellness coach. I do tarot reading. I do all kinds of things. And I'm here with Charlotte and Kelsey. Please introduce yourselves. We are Outrageous Wellness.
Hi, it's been a while. I have to remember who I am. I'm Charlotte Safos, and I am a business person, Reiki master, and spiritual explorer.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I quit elementary teaching, so I'm not that anymore. So I'm not a teacher anymore, but I do teach yoga, and I am an aspiring expert of all things occult.
Hi, thank you for being here today. We're getting together again after taking a break. We've been very busy, all of us, this fall. Kelsey's actually in Salem, Massachusetts. So she's, yeah, I was hoping she'd be able to go outside and walk around and give us a little tour of Salem. But that's a little bit much. It's chilly and you need to, I guess you're not like in Salem itself, you're in Marblehead, right?
Yeah. And the phone battery situation with the lift situation was not doing me right. It was doing me very wrong.
A little adventure, a little excitement.
I'm holding on to everything I own, and I don't know when my car is coming.
Got it. Yeah.
Kind of situation.
But that's fun because it's so we are Halloween. Samhain is tomorrow. It's a big deal in Salem because of its history with the witch trials that happened in the late 17th century. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about maybe how it's relevant today, what the history of kind of women in society and how that has evolved, about power structures a little bit. So we're going to get a little bit into that stuff and sort of the cycle of human history and maybe Samhain and Halloween itself and that history. So it's been a really busy fall. So I'm really excited to dive into this today. So Kelsey, why don't you tell us your initial reaction when you first walked through Salem?
It's everything you think it's going to be. And then even better, honestly. So we walked in, we started going down, I was kind of like expecting it to be like a little gimmicky, like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody comes here for Halloween. I was expecting it to kind of have like a little bit of a spirit Halloween vibe. It doesn't. It's like when you think of Halloween Town from that, like the movie Halloween Town, the Disney movie, it's that kind of energy. You're walking through it. It's all beautiful, well done. But there's like stores where you can go get your palm read or tarot readings, but it's like doesn't have that gimmicky nature to it. It's much more like it feels so authentic. And I literally kept looking over at Chloe and saying, oh my God, this is like way better than I expected it to be. Like, this is impeccable. So it was a really cool experience walking down that street.
Well, Hocus Pocus was filmed there. So, yeah, so it's definitely got that, you watch the movie and you have the Salem vibe, I think. Tell us about the witch house. So the witch house was the house that the judge lived in.
Yeah.
Presided over witch trials.
It's really weird because you're like going down what feels like this Halloween Town kind of street that's really beautifully done. It's colorful. You have people that are dressed like that are witches that are walking down, that people that are dressed for Halloween. And then you look at the end of the street and then there's this house that is entirely black. You were a little taken aback because it's definitely out of place comparing it to the rest of the space. But I think that's also the point, is it's such a stark contrast, because if you think of the concept of like magic and like how that feels and what that looks like, and then somebody who's judging people or pointing a finger and saying, you're a witch, it's such a stark, like we go from all of this magical feeling on the street to there's the judge, and you can tell. Very,
Def-
very much so.
Definitely has an aura to it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely does.
And
Um,
is it a museum, Kelsey, or what is it now?
it's a museum now, and so you can buy tickets to walk the house during the day and see it as is. But no, it's a museum now, so you can take a lap through it. But I gotta tell you, it's a little like off-putting to stare at. But I also think it's kind of the point, just with the way that the town is, and then that house and what that house represents.
Yeah, it was, and the Salem witch trials were towards the end of the 1600s. It was 1692. Witch hunts had been going on in Europe, for 300 years, and had kind of wound down there. And there had been some witch trials here in the Americas, but nothing like this. This was sort of the culmination, I guess, of this sickness, whatever it was, this delusion that people had, that, and this, it was also kind of an excuse to keep women who weren't interested in walking that, that good Christian woman path, kind of, get them out of the way. Anybody who had a voice, tried to stand up or tried to do their own thing. They could be accused of being a witch, and we can get them out of the way. I'm sorry, I'm being very cynical, but that is how I see it.
I mean, it's fair for sure. And I think there's an aspect to it too. I mean, we were talking about how this was was it one of the only witch trials, or was it like the first one where people could use dream evidence? Like, what was the?
Well, in other times, in other witchcraft trials, spectral evidence and dream evidence hadn't been admitted in the, here in the Americas, and it was in this one, and that's why it was so bad. Was you just had people saying, just bringing up all kinds of crazy stuff that wasn't based in any kind of reality. In the past, people have been let off or found innocent because this kind of evidence was not admitted in these witchcraft trials. So,
Sound familiar? Conspiracy theories?
yeah, that's true. Yes, exactly. You have conspiracy theories that aren't based in reality, and then you have the actual, like going through the courts, and so what is the proof? What is the evidence? So you got to kind of produce that, right? You get right down to it.
A real absence of critical thinking.
Well, and I think that's interesting to like as a theme, because when we have so many people that are lacking that critical thinking, and then creating it kind of shows what kind of hysteria we can have when we don't take a step back and be like, what's the intention behind this? Where are we actually going here? What's the goal? What's the actual problem? What's the solution? And I think if we all just kind of do and not think and not critically process what's happening around us.
You're breaking up.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Okay, you're back.
I think it creates this hysteria that can be detrimental.
Yeah. And coming from a former teacher, so how do you teach those kind of skills to kids? Just as a little aside, I'm curious.
I definitely will sit there and I have them always try to answer the question why. Like, why are we doing this? What's the point behind it? What's our end goal? And when you constantly like bring it back to that, and you can bring that to anything, like any reading concept, any math concept. Why are we doing this? What's the point? What's our end goal?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And it opens them up. Go ahead.
I also think that it's important to, when we're talking about this, what you were saying, Kelsey, about kind of, the hysteria. And when we look at leaders, when we look at leaders in our community, in our, families, in our groups, our friend groups, our politics, you know, if there are a few people like at Salem who have the power and were benefiting from kind of this fear and, you know, as Kristine said, kind of keeping women subjugated, you know, again, it's the why. Like, why are these people supporting this and what are they getting out of it? And I think it's important to teach kids that you can be your own leader. Like, you should follow your own lead first and ask the questions and do the work, and certainly always talk to other people and respect their opinions. It's just at the end of the day, you know, I think we really do have to kind of get into our guts and say, does this feel right? You know, does this feel good?
It's funny you say that, because I would always hear teachers when we would come down the hallway with kids who genuinely were asking about the rules, being like, "Why do we have to do this?" And they would always yell back at them, "Because I said so." And like, I get it in the moment, especially when you're stressed out. When you're the adult, it's hard to have to explain yourself every time. Um, but there was definitely so much impact when I would let the kids ask that question, like in a genuine curiosity of like, "Why are we doing this?" Um, and actually sit down with them and answer that question. Like, we are doing this because this will keep you safe. Let me explain how it keeps you safe. And so then that way, when they come back and they ask me why we have a rule, I can give them a valid answer. And I told them to question me all the time. I was like, question authority, question, what is the point of this rule? Why do we have it? Because if you understand the actual reason behind it, you're probably going to follow it better. And if somebody's making up a rule that doesn't make any sense, now you can call it out.
Yeah, I don't ever remember saying because I said so to my son. Like, I said that maybe once, like, the whole time that he was growing
Right?
up. So yeah, because that just never seemed to be a reasonable, like, response, or, you know, to the question of why, you know, because I said so is just so, ugh, I hate that. Oh my goodness. So, about, let's see, Salem again, because Salem is so fascinating to me. It was founded, right? It was founded in 1626, and then the witch trials took place in 1692 over a period of 3 months. So that's interesting to me. And, you know, I remember hearing that whole theory about the rye being bad, and so that's why this whole thing happened, you know. But I don't know that that's necessarily the official story about why it started, you know. It was just kind of this mass, like, hysteria. And I actually had read something about it possibly being like a socioeconomic kind of a, you know, you know, like, everything just kind of came together, you know, like there were a lot of sort of, I guess, what we would today consider refugees coming in from, you know, because there was like some that had come in the years prior to it. So there was a lot of stress on the community. And, you know, then you have the Puritans who have their our way or the highway kind of attitude. And you had people who didn't necessarily fall into, you know, sort of the mold, like, you know, you have not enough money, so that means that you're obviously not a good person, or you have too much money, and so, you know, you must have made some kind of deal with the devil, you know. Or, you know, you have too many kids. Oh, you have all these kids, you definitely must have made some kind of deal with the devil. Or you don't have kids, so clearly you're a bad person and you must be evil because, you know, you weren't blessed with kids. So, you know, it's always you know, the women, you know, most, I think all, like, 3/4 of the women who were hanged at Salem were women, right? The people hanged were women. There were a few men, you know, relatives of women accused. Um, the constable who started doubting it. I believe he was one of the people who was hanged, and he was like, "I'm not going to arrest these women anymore for you." And they were like, "Oh, well, you must be a witch too, because you're not going along with the game plan." Really interesting how that works, right? Does that sound
Again,
familiar? Does that sound familiar?
exactly, standing up to power,
Yes.
and being, and totally having it turned around on you by the people in power, who are just a few.
Yes.
It's scary how it can happen. It's happened so many times in our history as people, and I think we all have to be really, really, really careful and cognizant of that, especially right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the witch trials ended when, did I say this already? They ended when the governor's wife was accused of being a witch. And then he was like, "Uh-oh," and he disbanded the he disbanded the trials at that point. And eventually, I know some of the victims were families were compensated, but the last one wasn't exonerated until just July of this year.
Literally this year.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know
Literally this
that.
year.
Whoa.
yeah. So it's crazy. So it's gone on that long.
So who's responsible for like exonerating? I mean, who was that up to?
I'm not sure. I know that in the 1950s, Massachusetts did an official apology that I guess covered everybody that hadn't yet been, except this one person who somehow fell through the cracks. I have no idea how or why, but I'll have to look into that.
I find it like really ironic now too that all those witch trials happen and those women probably, I mean, probably weren't witches, but now this whole, like you show up to Salem and there are witches everywhere. Everybody's just out and proud about being a witch. So it's just funny how that kind of energy has brought in um this like really cool and given space for people. Like it wasn't great that the Salem witch trials happened, but it's now given a space for people to be able to really lean into themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, things are definitely coming around. Things have been, this momentum has been growing for since the mid 1900s, mid 20th century, and we're moving into it. It's sort of, growing and really getting a lot of energy, a lot of good energy. Moving into the age of Aquarius.
Right. And I think, again, it's just look at all of the communities who have been persecuted in the past, who are now able to live their life in celebration, right? So homosexuality is a great example of that. And and kind of you ask yourself, like, how could it have been like that? That society made people feel awful about who they were, and like, why, and who did it benefit? And it literally benefits no one. And now we have a thriving, community where people are happier. And as a collective, we are happier when we allow people to be who they are
Yeah,
and to celebrate that. And it just, to me, it's so poignant that we're having this conversation, because again, Kelsey, to your point, they were persecuted and now they're celebrated. I really, I love leaning into the celebrated part, and I don't understand why we persecute anyone.
well, it's because there are, people in power who don't want to feel their power slipping, and that's why I think people are getting so violently anti, like, women's rights and sort of backpedaling on rights of LGBTQ people, and some of this anti-immigration stuff that's so vehement and violent, it's because people feel like they're losing their power. People who are in power are losing their power. And so
Well,
they're panicking and they're lashing out in really nasty ways. So
I think that's also happening.
yeah, we just need to continue working, for the good and putting out good energy and being a voice for people who don't have a voice.
I think that's happening with education too. Like when you think about it, because education to me is like the great equalizer. And so I think that whole concept of like feeling the power slipping, it's like like with education, it's getting so much scrutiny now. It's like that was the great equalizer. And now we're kind of scrutinizing it, and I think it kind of comes back. I like that point a lot because it does really feel like that's what's going on with public education currently.
It's sad. Yeah, it really is. But like I said, we are giving voice. We're hopefully being a voice for people who don't feel like they're empowered, but we just need to keep stepping up and stepping up and stepping up.
And I think it's just important for wellness in general, right? I mean, collectively, if we are a well society, we all, individually can feel well in that society, right? So it's really important for the individual as well to kind of come at life with an open mind and with empathy, and any time you want to take someone else's power away, or better how they should be living, kind of take a step back and think about, that's what they thought about the Salem witches, right? And we've proven that it just wasn't right. And so take some time to open your mind and celebrate yourself and others and their uniqueness.
Yeah, I agree completely. So what, springboarding off of that, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Tomorrow's Halloween. It's also Samhain. So Samhain is the Wiccan name for Halloween, for that celebration, for the celebration of the point midway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. So that's basically what we are in right now, is that midpoint. So it's kind of fun to think about it that way. The last harvest celebration, the new year to some people, moving into the darkest time of the year in 6 weeks or so. So is it already that close? Like it's
Right.
like 7 weeks or something till Yule. I'll be celebrating Yule, be having my Yule celebration. So, hopefully you guys will be able to come and along with everybody else. But that's the 21st. So that is my winter holiday, the main one there. So I love that. So I plan on having a relatively quiet evening tomorrow. Maybe communing with some of my ancestors, because the idea is that the veil between our world and the world and the spirit world is very thin. So we'll be able to maybe get some downloads, some inspiration from our ancestors. What are you doing, Charlotte?
That is so cool, Kristine. I love what you're doing. I am actually going to see a magic show. So I was supposed to be visiting my sister in New England, but I won 2 tickets to a magic show, and it's called Washington Magic. If you're in the DC area, it's really fun. I went to one performance, and it's a group of magicians, and they have this townhouse in downtown DC. And so they have, I think it's once a month, you can see close-up magic. So they have 3 or 4 people when you first come in who are performing close-up magic. And then there's a stage presentation where you go into this little theater and they do stage magic. And it's really fun, and I thought it would be a great thing to do on Halloween.
What are you doing, Kelsey? You're
I
in
love that. Magic is so cool. So I'm really excited for you. So today is going to be, I think, dedicated to museums and seeing, like, learning the history behind it. And then there's like a psychic fair. Like, you can go and get like your palm read. You can get psychics to read for you. I'm going to go look for tarot cards because I think that would be just so freaking cool to have like a deck of tarot cards that is from Salem. So we're going to kind of do the more witchy magic stuff tomorrow, and we're going to do the history stuff today.
That sounds great. Yeah, I remember. So another thing that's fun to do that we've done in the past is there's an Edgar Allan Poe, what do you call it? Impersonator, an actor who pretends to be Edgar Allan Poe, and he does a reading, in Alexandria, Virginia, where I live, around this time of year. So I think he's doing a performance tonight and a performance tomorrow night. So that's always really fun. And of course, there's the ghost tours and things like that. Those are also fun to do. There's lots of ghost stories in Alexandria. So love doing that. And let's see. Oh, also, so we haven't been here in so long. We haven't done our podcast. First of all, I should show you all my nails, right?
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see those, but anyway, I had those done the other day for the season. Beautiful. And I went back to the Renaissance Festival. Last time we did this, we had just been to the Renaissance Festival, the three of us. Well, I went back with some other people, and I got like this. We're in Scorpio season now, and I ended up getting some water-related pieces, this mermaid necklace. And then I got this mermaid chalice.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
It is stunning.
Beautiful.
Yes, I'm looking forward to having some fun with that. So I guess the last thing that I wanted to mention is sort of in the larger scale of things. I don't know how many people, and she wrote this book. I'm sure I've mentioned this on the podcast before. This was originally published in, I guess, the early 90s. And she has this theory, Demetra George, about sort of the cycle of humanity, and that we are coming out of this dark phase of the goddess. If you think about it in terms of moon phases, going through the dark phase, and now we're moving into kind of the new moon phase, which is all about seeds germinating and stuff. And how over the last 50 years or so, this movement has gained power, gained strength. Women becoming more aware of our power, right? Just as individuals. And so moving into this new phase, and we've been in like this 5,000 year dark period of the goddess, where goddess worship has been definitely squashed violently in many cases. Sort of the very patriarchal religion sort of came in and usurped the goddess worship. So we're getting back to it, right? Getting back to it. So
Yes.
no, I love it. I love it.
Getting back to it.
So yes. So any closing thoughts?
Well, I'm excited to see our Instagram account, because Kelsey, I believe, not to put you on the spot, has promised to post many photos of her time in Salem today and tomorrow. I'm really excited about seeing that. Thank you, Kelsey.
Oh, of
Yes.
course. I am very excited too.
And I will post some things from my Renaissance Festival experience last weekend. I picked up my chainmail. So here.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
So I'll put a picture of myself wearing it last week.
It's a Valkyrie.
Yes.
Like it's stunning shield. Like what would we like a piece, like a top for Valkyrie? I'm trying to explain it for people that are just listening, but it's beautiful. It's stunning. And so if you can get onto our YouTube or Instagram and see it, you should, because it's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, it is. It really is. So
And how cool is it that a woman makes those? And
yes,
you
Free
know,
Armorer. Yes, if you want to look her up, look. Yes, it's a woman who does it, and it's beautiful. It really is. So you know, I'm gonna put together a full Valkyrie costume, I think, little by little. So I'm excited.
I would
Nice.
love to see that.
Very cool.
So yes. So that's that. You got any closing thoughts, either of you?
Stay witchy, my friends.
Absolutely. Has a blast this upcoming week, just celebrating you know, the this late fall or mid fall season, and yeah, moving into November.
Yeah, let those seeds germinate and keep your mind open. And there is so much in this world that we all still are exploring and will forever. But how fun! We are in an amazing time. And I, for one, am excited about it.
Yes. So thank you everybody for joining us. This has been great. We're getting back on. It's like getting back on the wagon here, you know, doing the podcast again. So this has been Outrageous Wellness. I'm Kristine Erickson here with Charlotte Safos and Kelsey Williams. And everybody have a wonderful, safe few days here, and we will see you next time. If you enjoyed what you saw, what you heard, please tell somebody else about us. You can find us on Instagram at outrageous_wellness. And yeah, and I also have a Facebook, but I need to start posting on that again. So just get on me about that. So have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.